Oil prices saw about 6% to their highest since 2024 on Tuesday, rising for a third session as the US-Israel war against Iran widened, disrupting energy shipments from the Middle East and stoking fears of a prolonged conflict. Brent futures rose $4.70 or 6.1% to $82.44 a barrel.
Brent was on track for its highest close since July 2024. And WTI for its highest since January 2025. The war has widened. Iraq, number 2 crude producer in the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC, behind Saudi Arabia, has cut production by nearly 1.5 million barrels a day, and the cuts could more than double within days as the country runs out of storage space for crude it cannot export due to the crisis. Iran has responded with strikes against energy infrastructure in Gulf countries and tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, through which a fifth of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas typically passes.
If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
US President Donald Trump said US and Israeli air attacks were projected to last 4 to 5 weeks, but could go on longer. Trump also noted that the US was considering all tanker insurance support.
If this crisis is prolonged, around 20% of global supply is very hard to replace, even with a growing market with new supply coming out of the US. So I think what she's replying to is obviously non-Qatar UAE cargoes. So there will be any flexible spot cargoes you can find from the US or Australia, or any Atlantic cargoes from West Africa is I think what she's referring to.
US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said the United States would cut off all trade with Spain after the European country refused to let the US military use its bases for missions linked to strikes on Iran. Earlier, Spain says the United States is not using and will not be using joint military bases on its territory for operations against Iran, a mission condemned by moderate.
But some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, and so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.